Well, you still don't.
I'm here now, so hang on one second. Okay. All right. I'll just open up with a quick statement on the House priority bills that came out. Look them over here just briefly. What I think, while there are a couple things that we're going to like with regards to some of the regulations with housing and things like that, it seems like to me, at first glance, it's pretty lackluster when it comes to trying to save Hoosiers money on their utility bills. It doesn't mention anything with regards to health care or child care. These are issues that we've been talking about for a long time now, and it's just not us, it's what our folks out there, Hoosiers, are looking for, hoping that we would get something done on these issues this session. So pretty disappointed that those things were not mentioned as part of the House Republican agenda. So with that, I'll try and answer any questions you might have.
What part of the Republican agenda do you guys think you can definitely make some progress on?
Well, when you look at 1001, I think it talks about some things that you may not have, maybe things that are going into the construction of apartments or things like that add to cost. If that can lower costs and lower folks that would be living in an apartment, their monthly payment, there's probably some things in there that have to do with housing and what is required or what wouldn't have to be required. For example, I'm thinking off the top of my head about bricks and things like that, which add to the cost of housing. If that's their suggestion on lowering the cost, that's probably a good first step.
You mentioned that House Bill 1002 doesn't go far enough when it comes to utilities. What changes would you like to see in that bill? What changes in terms of lowering those utility costs would you like to see pass?
Well, let me remind folks that 2025 saw the highest increase in rates and utility bills. And one thing that we can do right off the bat is say, we're going to suspend the sales tax on utilities. It's something that the same amount of reduction that we give to data centers and things like that. So that's just something that, real quick, and I think it's about, that's just on electric, it's about, average about $350 a year. If you do that on all the utilities, it starts to add up. So that would be something that we could do right away.
Do you see House Republicans supporting that move?
They should. I mean, they brag about all the other taxes they give, especially to businesses and corporations, so why not help Hoosiers out and support that one?
Will refunding utility ratepayers for unused electricity and doing these performance-based metrics, do you see that actually making any meaningful changes?
I'm not. Yeah, I read it briefly. I'm not quite clear how that's going to work. I'm not sure if they hit their targets, I'm not sure who gets the additional money, and I don't know if this is something that was sort of taken away with regards to lowering hospital costs. There were some targets there. I'm not quite clear on where they're going with that. So I just have to kind of continue to look at that. So I think our idea of eliminating the sales tax altogether. By the way, that could also take, I think, it up to 2029. So we're talking 3 or 4 years now down the road where ratepayers would see any relief.
The education dereg bill, abatements bill, do you see anything in there that's like we shouldn't be getting rid of, or have you had a chance to sort of scan what those are?
Haven't had a super long time to look at. I will say this, Representative Boehning now has been in charge of the Education Committee since 2011, and he keeps wanting to deregulate the things that he was responsible, and the House Republicans have been responsible for putting in over the last. So maybe they're correcting the errors of their ways. I don't really know what the plan is there. So we'll continue to monitor that.
The House Speaker said that despite the state building a $5 billion surplus, he doesn't want to touch any of that yet. We should wait till next year to maybe think about addressing some of the cuts that we did last session. Thoughts on that? What would you like to see when we're building up this surplus in the state now?
I mean, the first thing right off the bat is let's eliminate these wait lists that we have. For example, I mean, I've mentioned this before. Child care is such a big issue out there for parents, for employers. Something that we could do. We need to really work on that. We could use some of the money for that. We had I toured a facility in Fort Wayne back in October, and then in December they put out a notice that it's closing, and it's not the only one closing throughout the state. So the providers need paid, the parents need safe, productive places in daycare centers where they can take their children, and that's something that we really should do, and that's everyone's asking for it. Very disappointed that it's not on their priority list.
Phil, any thoughts on there's legislators that would basically take a bunch of county offices, make them appointed by county councils, like surveyor, auditor?
Yeah, all the local county offices. This sounds like it's kind of Kernan Shepherd 2.0, I suppose, part of that. I'd love to just kind of wait and see and hear the testimony. There is something to be said about being responsible to the voters, and so who's going to be reviewing the job of these elected officials now that would be appointed? I don't know who's going to appoint them. I have to kind of take a look at the legislation, but we'll say this: when you run for office, you're up for review. In our case, every 2 years, in these offices every 4 years, and that's also not a bad idea either. Let's go one at a time here.
On the housing bill, you concerned at all that that could potentially step on the principle of local control?
That's been the problem in the past, is that really in kind of some of the areas, mostly where there's been growth, some of the counties that they require some of these things. So, if our goal is to reduce costs, we're just going to have to kind of really take a deep dive into these things and take a look and see what the exact savings is going to be. So, but that's certainly a question, and that's something that probably has some opposition has come
to reducing the number of commissions. Is there some efficiency to be found there?
I'd have to look and see what these are. I don't really see how it's a savings to taxpayers. I don't see how it lowers their utility bills either.
But could you see that potentially going, from your perspective, a bit too far, this move to simplify or streamline? Do you think this could ultimately just stop work from your perspective that's important with these commissions?
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem, is, and I'd have to look and see exactly which commissions are talking about what has been done. And it'd be, to me, you're right. I want to see exactly what the products, the commission, what did they produce, what have we used from those ideas to advance legislation and things like that. So, if those disappear, then we're not, hearing about these issues, and that isn't a good thing either. So
I hear you saying, there's some difference in how you get there, but their priorities are affordability. Your priority is affordability. Senate Democrats' priorities affordability. Have you had a chance to look at the Senate Republicans' priorities, which are expanding opportunities to deny bail, cracking down on welfare, making sure we don't open the budget? Any thoughts on why those priorities look so different from the other three caucuses? Well,
in my opinion, they want to deflect from the real issues, which they are. The real issue is affordability. So why, if they don't want to talk about it, essentially. We do, because we know that's what we're hearing from our constituents, and that's what taxpayers want us to focus on. And so if you don't want to acknowledge it, the first thing you do is then don't talk about it, and you put on an agenda that doesn't talk about trying to help Hoosiers reduce their costs.
One of the issues in affordability has been government reform, is eliminating boards and commissions. Any thoughts on limiting township government?
Well, one thing, look, I'm sure there are small townships out there that could be consolidated, but I will also tell you, larger townships, like, for example, I'm going to give you Wayne Township up in Fort Wayne. I would have to see, is it going to be merged in with county government? Is it going to merge with city government? And what we've seen in the past and what's been researched is that when you do that, folks that are using township government, frankly, get lost in the system. And so that's one of those where government is best when that way it's working smaller and more efficient for people. And if it becomes too big, too wielding, folks aren't going to use it, and then what happens? So that frankly leads to more problems. So I think we need to be very careful about eliminating township governments, particularly those that are that big. In my case, Wayne Township in Fort Wayne, it's about 110,000 people, and I would just hate to see those folks that use that township office get lost in a big bureaucratic system.
Thank you.
Go Hoosiers. See ya.